was just like, what am I going to do? And somebody said, there's a shop across the way you should check out. And I said, who is that? They said, Ink Addiction.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, Ink Addiction? I thought that was just a rumor. I said, no. I said, that can't be real. Have you heard about that place? And so I went over there, and it was really dark. I remember I walked in, and I could not tell if they were open or not.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then there was this little yellow light off in the back corner of this little thing past the pool table, and the glow, the very soft amber glow of that yellow light bulb off in the back corner. There was this little light bulb glowing, and there was a man tattooing it in. He said, what do you need? His name was James Kerr.
Oh, I know him. Hi, I'm James Kerr. I'm a tattoo artist, musician, and a trauma survivor. Been on this healing journey for a long time now, and it's led me here talking to you. I enjoy talking about heavy stuff like life, death, spirituality, trauma, and ways to cope with trauma. But it's not all serious. I like to joke a lot too. Welcome to the Fire of Truth podcast. Oh, dude. So you landed the apprenticeship after all of that. After having to like weave your way through the emotional reaction of even the idea of tattooing. And your mentor, how was that? Well, the tattoo apprenticeship went.
So my mentor, Kevin, amazing man, love him. Kevin Long, great love and respect.
Shout out for Kevin Long.
Shout out to Kevin Long. Great man, a lot of respect. Kevin, I love you, and that's why I'm saying it again before I say the rest of this. Kevin was, I don't believe, in all honesty, like, ever really wanted to be a tattoo artist. I think he did it because he had a knack for it, to be able to copy other people's stuff. Like, he can, see an image and copy it pretty decently.
Yeah.
But he couldn't draw for himself, really.
Right.
And so my apprenticeship was very strange in that sense. So at first, I didn't know any of this. I thought I saw his work, thought he was great. I had him tattoo me a couple of times. Did pretty good, it was for back when it was decent stuff. And so when they offered me the apprenticeship, told me he was gonna be my mentor, I was pretty stoked about it. Started working underneath him, and a lot of times I'd be like, hey, how do I get this to look like this? And so his response 9 out of 10 times was, figure it out. Which I thought at first was just him encouraging me to work
To
hard
explore,
and figure stuff
experiment.
out. So I did. So I've figure it out, grind on it, talk with other artists, ask anybody I knew who was willing to give me information. And like back then it was the internet was not as a huge thing. You couldn't just Google anything back then.
I remember those days.
You had to look it up in books, you had to go to bookstores, you had to read at libraries.
Cherry Creek, trace my own line work.
Yes, you had to go to
make my own needles.
The book grocery stores. It was like a book grocery stores. Books everywhere.
They're called libraries. The book grocery store, and they're affordable.
Yes, they're free.
Yeah.
Just get a sign for it.
Yeah.
But so I started doing all that, and I'd come back to him and be like, check it out. And then at one point I realized, you don't know yourself. You're asking me that. You're telling me that because I'm coming back and explaining it to you. I'm teaching you. And I think
that's probably what he saw in you, huh?
So there was like the guy who hired me was the owner of the shop. He is a body piercer. The guy who mentored me worked for him. So there were so the guy who hired me saw that I was already advancing beyond my mentor artistically. I was doing most of his drawings for him, for like his stencils and stuff. And he started noticing that the clients would come in and like a custom piece was drawn for him, and we had no Google to look stuff up, no Pinterest to copy anything. You had to draw from their shitty descriptions.
Right.
So I would get at the end of every day, here, this list of shitty descriptions. Phone game, their shitty description versus his shitty description, which is like chicken scratch, and come up with a cool design. And there was no picture of what it where it went or anything. It was on my shoulder. I'm a guy about this size. You had to. I hope he's about my size, and kind of size it up, draw the whole thing out. And people are coming in going, hey, your work is just really picked up, Kevin. Like, your art skill, like, this last one I got from you compared to this one. And, it kept happening. And, the owner was just like, they don't even give a shit for you. You're not even drawing. This is Dre doing this stuff.
Right.
So,
right.
It was really dirty of him, in my opinion, the owner doing this. But it was like just before Christmas. my mentor was about to, go do his Christmas vacation with his family. He'd been grinding really hard, working really hard, and we've both been working really hard at the shop to make it go. And it was time for him to go on this week-long vacation, and then, take another couple of days for New Year's and all that. So, I had no idea any of this was happening until after it was happening, of course, or else I would have warned him. But he leaves and goes and does his thing, and the boss man says, all right, he's out of here. Next day, do me a favor, here's a box, pack up the shit. Like, I was like, what's going on? You want me to pack up my mentor's shit? And he's just like, yeah, we're gonna fire him. I was like, he's on vacation with his family.
I hear that kind of story a lot.
Yeah,
in
like,
this
dude
industry.
worked his ass off.
Right.
Get to go on vacation with his family and not have to worry. And so, yeah,
He's spending all his money that he could be saving to get him to a new job right now. Yeah.
And so he, that's my boss was saying, he's like, he doesn't really care for this job anyway. And I'm like, I don't know, it pays the bills, keeps his family fed. I think he'd, probably do something else if he could, but here he is, like, and so, yeah. And luckily I didn't have to do the you're fired thing.
That would be fucking awkward.
I'm still an apprentice,
Right.
This is like 3 months.
Oh God.
3 months I'm an apprentice, and
you're like, this is why I didn't want to do this.
And so he fires him on like the day after New Year's. He's supposed to be back the day after New Year's. He said, he calls and says, hey, how's everything going? I says, oh, it's great. Shop's doing great. Don't bother coming back. We're gonna drop your stuff at your house for you. And I'm just like, Dave, that's some hard shit. And I realized at that point, like, that dude is cold blooded as fuck. Like, you watch your shit.
Slippery.
Yeah. And so at that point, I went from 3 months into an apprenticeship, which, again, I was learning by myself anyway, for the most part, into, hey, you're no longer the apprentice, you're the shop manager, you are the shop head tattoo artist, you are the fucking guy who's running the fucking, and back then, like, all the accounts, you didn't go to, like, Kingpin Tattoo, or, like,
right.
They were a million different, like, you got one person for needles, you got another person for ink, and, and they were all independent people making this stuff.
Right.
So you had to call these individual people and, like, talk with them and get to know them. He's like, so now you get to do all that, and, like, everything is on you. And I'm like, I still learning how to fucking tattoo,
Right. Yeah.
And again, there's the gatekeeping part of tattooing, which I, again, super lucky. People around here have not been that way with me artistically.
Yeah.
I went to other shops and started walking around, going to other shops, like, hey, my name's Dre, I'm an apprentice at this shop over here. Mind if I hang out? Which, in hindsight, now I look back and realize, like, the look on their face wasn't, like, surprised. I was like, oh, that's cool. It was kind of like, the fuck, you work at another shop and you're coming into my shop?
Yeah,
So,
what is this, industrial espionage?
Right to our face. Like, but I didn't know that.
Right.
I didn't know anything about
No,
tattooing.
you're pretty open dude, too,
So,
in general.
just art-wise, I'm used to sharing. And so, I walked from shop to shop and, introduced myself, and people were like, all right, what the fuck is up with this guy? And I did that every Sunday, because that's when I had my day off. And Skin Signia was still around then. Shout out to Skin Signia, one of the greatest tattoo shops ever.
Legendary.
Sean Arneson, one of the greatest fucking tattoo shop owners. Sean, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Gave me a huge break as well, but I'll get that in a moment. But so I was walking around and I went into Skin Signia and introduced myself again. Sean was just like, all right, well, good to meet you, glad you're getting into the biz. And met Henry Kruger. Also shout out to another legend there, Henry Kruger, who I told him what I was doing, and he said, I'm working on somebody now. If you want, come on the back, come back into the studio in the booth, sit down, watch, if you have questions, ask, but for the most part, just shut the fuck up and watch.
Yeah, learn something.
So I did, and hung out, and I got to do that on a few Sundays every now and then with him, and like, during the week whenever I had a break, and like everybody in that shop was like that. There was another guy, Aaron, who worked there. I forget his last name right now.
Is it Osborne?
Aaron Osborne, I think so, yeah, but he is fantastic artist.
Yeah.
I think he was working at True Nature for a little bit with those guys. Yeah. Again, more fantastic artists, next level people.
Yeah.
And so
been doing it longer than we have.
Oh way longer. So I got to go hang out with Henry and these guys and watch them work, and they were very open to letting me watch and learn, and like, so I go back to my shop and we're hanging out and I'm drawing, and the guy said, where'd you pick this up from, the boss? I said, oh, I was over hanging out with Henry and those guys. And he's like, you're at Skin Signia? I said, yeah, I go there like every weekend. Been doing it for like 2 months now. He stands back, I said, pack your shit the fuck up. And I was like, huh? Yeah, he said, pack up. I already know you're leaving, you might as well just fucking go. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, well, that's the only time people go to another shop is if they're looking for
If
a
they're
job.
looking for work,
I
right?
said, no, I was just looking for art skills. And he's like, and they taught you. They're teaching you. I said, yeah, Henry lets me come and hang out. And he says, you know, he's probably lying to you, right? Teaching you the wrong stuff. And I said, well, he's tattooing when he does it.
Yeah, totally. So
And it's
he's
like,
not...
you know, the other day he's working on this amazing Japanese dragon. And I was like, and I highly doubt he would fuck up this amazing piece he's doing
just to
in
fuck
order
with
to
you.
fuck with
Yeah,
me. And
yeah.
I was like, he's always been super nice and really respectful.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and I told the other artists that, and they were like, Henry Kruger? Really? They were like, yeah, you're lying. I was like, no.
And he's been nice to me too. Every time
and
I hang out with him.
You know,
Yeah.
shout out to Henry.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says about you. I love you. I think you're an amazing man.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people say way better stuff about you than it makes it sound like right now. So.
Yeah.
But there are people out there, you know, who are like, you know, oh, Henry's a dick. You know, I was like,
Oh, dude,
How
if
did you come to
anyone
Henry?
comes to the shop where we work and wants American traditional, he's the first person
Yeah.
I think of. Like, go to that guy
and,
if
you
you
know,
want.
they'll say something about, you know, he can be so rude or something. I said, how did you approach him?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's how you approach him. If you
Yeah.
come off cocky with him, he's going to give you that same. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's good at what he does, and he.
And
fucking
I'm the
knows it.
same way. I got an email from someone a month ago telling me how rude I was to them and I, blah, blah, blah. And I apologized in the email, like, sorry, yeah, I own it. Yeah, I'm a sensitive artist, you know? So if you come off cocky, I'm going to do this, you know? So everyone's someone else. Like you said to me a long time ago, everyone is someone else's weirdo.
True.
And I think I love that phrase. And you can use the word asshole instead of weirdo. And everyone's someone else's asshole
This
too.
is true. This
Yeah,
is true.
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I've heard people, you know, talk about him like that, and I thought, well, it's really how you approach him. I feel like because he could have easily told me to fuck off and get the hell out of their shop, like, you know,
Yeah.
basically coming in there to steal knowledge, and they're not getting anything for it. Which again, the gatekeeping side of tattooing, then unfucking heard of.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Back then, especially
Yeah,
20
so-
years ago. Yeah.
So yeah, they were super nice about it. Always let me come in and, you know, watch and learn. Taught me about drawing, how to, you know, customer service, just watching them do their thing, and then. You know, Sean would joke around, you know, there was a little empty booth sitting there, and I'd be sitting in there drawing sometimes. He said, you look good in that booth, Dre.
Yeah.
I said, you know, I appreciate it, but
I work over here.
I work over here. And he was never trying to poach, you know, he was just always joking around. And
Yeah.
so, unfortunately, the shop that I was working at, though, he started getting a little bit greedy. His name's Cameron. He's a greedy little shit. Cameron in Spanish is shrimp. He's
Cameron.
and he's a little shrimp of a man. Again, I don't hate him. I love him because I wouldn't be here without him.
Right.
I just hate what he did.
Yeah. And that's a big
Yeah,
distinction. Yeah.
I love Cameron for you know what he's given me, and like I would not have this life without him. And every time, and I think it's funny because I'll still see him around town every now and then, and he'll like flip me off, and I tell him I love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'd
Yeah.
rather, you know, I love you.
Yeah.
And he's just like, fuck you, Dre. And I don't blame him. You know,
Yeah.
we had it falling out. So he got greedy, started hiring a lot of people. You know, got that typical old school shop owner. The more people I hire, the more cut I get, the more money, and I can just pay them less all the time. Got greedy, stopped paying me. You know, telling me, I'll pay you next week. I'll pay you next week. Got this huge debt with me. Decided he was just going to not pay me at all. So I had to do what I had to do. All that said and done, you know, got out of the whole thing with him, and Sean was just like, hey, you can come work with me over here at Skinsignia. And I was like, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And so I got my hopes all up and thought, you know, I'm going to go to Skinsignia. I went over there, and they were like, damn it, we just filled the spot with somebody
Fuck.
right now. So I was like, okay, that's cool. You know, I'm glad you at least offered. You know, I'll figure something out.
Yeah.
And from there, you know, I was just like, what am I going to do? And somebody said, there's this shop across the way you should check out. And I said, who is that? They said, Ink Addiction.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, Ink Addiction? I thought that was just a rumor. I said, no. I said, that can't be real.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that place? And so I went over there, and it was really dark. I remember I walked in, and I could not tell if they were open or not.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then there was this little yellow light off in the back corner of this little thing past the pool table, and the glow, the very soft amber glow of that yellow light bulb off in the back corner. There was this little light bulb glowing, and there was a man tattooing it in. He said, what do you need? His name was James Kerr.
Oh, I know him.
Yeah, I had met him before. And I
That
told
was
him-
when we met.
Yeah, and I told him my plight, and he said, let me look at your work. And then he said, come on over. And that was 2 years after that it took me to leave that place because I liked it that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hated it that much. At
Yeah.
the same time, it was this
Yeah.
duel of like, I loved it there. It was still to this day. the greatest crews I ever got to work
Yeah.
with. We were
Yeah, yeah.
misfit sons of bitches. But
We,
God damn
oh
it,
yeah.
we had more fun there.
Yeah, and I think for me as like being the owner of that shop was like in a very same kind of vein, I went through a 7-month long apprenticeship and then became the owner. So I had no like shop experience.
Yeah.
And I was so green. Why was the lights off?
It was just really dark in there.
Yeah, you
'cause
couldn't
remember
see shit.
You had the window shades closed, and
Yeah.
there was only that one other little like drive-through looking window that was there.
Right.
And then everybody, and it was so dark in there.
That
And,
pool table too.
and they just you guys, and back then everybody was using like regular like tungsten yellow lights, and it was just like household lamps like hanging over with like no light shade on it, and like so it was like yellow lights. It was really dim.
I remember there was one thing, and I didn't know about your history in the art community here until today. I really talking to you about it, and you brought up something like when we were, and I was in this mode, and I talked about it actually in a previous episode when I doing my solo thing about how like the Zen mind, beginner's mind, keeping a beginner's mindset, that was kind of out the window for me during that phase of my career. I had this I'm the boss kind of thing. Even my wife was trying to like help me with it, and I'd be like, this is my thing, leave me alone, so and I may still have that shop today if I had let you in, like you had an idea of like, let's make this like a co-op, let's make this a community thing, and I glossed over it and poo-pooed it, but like knowing now what about your story and I wish I had taken that in more consideration, because I didn't even know how like connected you were to the art community and how much of an actual artist you were before that. Because I had similar as you, I have an Uncle Dan that inspired me too. Yeah, like, and I lived in Oceanside, so we have a lot of like
shout outs to Uncle Dan's.
Uncle Dan's, dude. Thank you. Yep. Mine was 6'7", and he was fucking. He's still alive. He's still fucking painting like crazy stuff. Well, yeah, so tell me a little bit of story, like about the hardest day and maybe the best day of Ink Addiction. That would be cool. I'd love to hear it. Like, just pretend I'm not here.
There was a lot of really good days there.
Yeah, because we were a party shop.
Yeah, we had a good time there. Like, I can tell you about many a great day there. Like the instant breakdown dancing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never worked at another shop where we would just break into dance.
Yeah.
Any given fucking moment.
Yeah.
You better watch your shit. If the song comes on, and who knows what song it might be.
I don't even know.
But for some reason, everybody came together and was inspired at once to do it. And like one that particularly stands out, the little dance moments, is when you were standing out in front one day smoking, and somebody pulled up into the parking lot and they had their music bumping for just like some girl in like some little convertible like VW like
going to the bar probably, right? Yeah.
No, she's coming in for
okay.
She pulled in though, and the music's just bumping. It's like some really shitty ass like fucking Taylor Swift type of stuff, music for girls who give teethy head kind of stuff. And,
music for girls that give teethy head. That's the name of this clip, right?
And she's bumping this, and we're just like standing there and you're smoking, and we all kind of looked at each other, and just instantly everybody said, just around you started dancing. I dropped down on 3. Yeah. And then, she's just standing there watching us for a second, and she turned the music off, and we all just casually stood up like it had never
nothing happened. Yeah.
Like, do you need something?
Yeah. How can we help you? Do you need a fucking flash mob?
Yeah, you just got that. Yeah, that was free.
Yeah, dude.
But moments like that like happen all the time there. We had a great time there. Like I laughed in tears many times there. Getting back from the bar super drunk and going into the shop and like hanging out and playing pool and eating spaghetti sandwiches and walk, and like ridiculous shit like that. Lots of partying. And listen, a lot of really good days there.
Yeah.
So much fun doing big fun pieces there, and just there was a lot of building there, like character building and just skill wise, like went through a lot that place, like learned a lot about myself as a tattoo artist in that place.
That's rad.
Had to deal with like the craziness, like the tougher stuff. I remember for a while you had split and went on tour with the band.
Oh yeah.
And like you want to talk about the tougher of the times.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that necessarily wasn't the tougher of the times. When you got back, that made it a little bit rough. Is so when you left, so you took off and you did not do an order supply.
Oh,
And you
fuck.
split. And
Yeah.
so for like a week and a half, we were good. And everyone's tattooing. We had everything we needed. And all of a sudden, we were out of supplies.
Right. Hi, this is James. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube right now, do me a huge favor and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, you could rate it, you could review it, you could share it with a friend as well. That would help me out a lot. Either way, thank you very much.
I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what do we do? So everyone's like, I don't know. I guess we just shut down. Like, we can't just shut down the shop. And me being, working at my other shop, previous, I had done like a year there, like running the shop. And so I always had to make sure
So
everything.
you knew how to do it.
Yeah, I was just like, this, it's just this anxiety of like, it can be done. Just nobody here is willing to step up. I'm the new guy. I shouldn't be doing this shit because you guys have all been here way longer than I have. I didn't know how long anyone had actually been there, but
Right.
I just knew they were all there before.
They were
me.
all longer than me.
Yeah, I knew
except
they were all,
for Ewok.
I knew
Yeah.
they'd all been there before me, so I felt like, I'm the new guy, so you shouldn't be doing this shit.
Yeah.
And so everyone's just like, well, I guess we're just going to stop tattooing. And I'm like, well, fuck that. I can't. Like,
Yeah.
I can't afford to. And if I bring in supplies, that shop, I had to get, one of the reasons I had to get a locking locker was because if you did not have a locking locker, and I've come to find out, even if you had one, there are some
Pickpocketers or
big lock picking motherfuckers in that shop.
locksmiths.
Yeah, they will borrow supplies, a lot of supplies.
Yeah.
And their borrowing system sucks. So I had to get a locker in there and stuff. And so, I couldn't just bring in stuff and not having be tattooing with all my supplies and nobody else had any. I had made good money while I was there. I made great money at that shop.
I did too.
Yeah, and it was probably something probably better than some
best
of the later
money
years.
I've-
in a long time. I made a shit ton of money there.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot saved up. And so I was like, well, if you're not going to supply it, I'm going to supply myself. So I couldn't not, leave everybody without. So what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? Started making orders. I said, all right, here's the deal. You guys just pay me now. Just give me a cut. I'm taking the fucking 60% or whatever it was,
Right.
and like, you guys keep your cut or whatever, we're doing that now.
Yeah.
So we were doing that for a little bit and it was doing all right and everyone was doing pretty good. I was just ordering, paying for stuff. The only person who ever burned me was Benny, unfortunately. Shout out to Benny. I'm sorry, Benny. I'm gonna tell your story right now.
Yeah.
Can I tell that? Whole
Yeah.
story?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is one of the worst moments in
Yeah.
tattooing for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
It was not even with another tattoo artist. It was with the piercer. But,
Right.
so in this, moment of you being gone and all this stuff going on, Benny runs out of piercing stuff.
Mm.
And now Benny's about to have his first kid.
Right.
And with Jessica, and Jessica's a wonderful woman. I fucking love that lady.
Oh, yeah.
So she's trying her ass off. She's working her ass off. Benny, is just like, well, got no piercing shit. Guess I'm just gonna quit. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? So I tell you what, dude. Order up what you need. I'll cover it. You just give me back my money later. And what I tell him, and I don't want you to order the shitty stuff. Like
order the shit that you use.
The guy that originally hired me was a body piercer, and so
Right.
he taught me about quality jewelry. We used to make our own jewelry there. We made we had a metal shop upstairs where we formed and made our own stainless steel. We made everything ourselves, and so
That's
everything was
awesome.
all the best quality stuff, high polished, like all that kind of stuff. And so, when I saw people using really shitty stuff, the gems are falling out, the metal quality's crap. I'm like,
Right.
why spend 2 cents on it when you can spend $1 on a good one?
Right.
Not have to ever replace it, not have to do another setup, all that kind of stuff. Save yourself money in the long run by spending some money.
Right.
And so I told Benny, buy the good stuff. Don't buy the cheap shit. Trust me, in the long run, you're going to make way more on it. And he bought what he wanted to get anyway. Comes through, and I forget what I told him how much I wanted per, piercing, typical amount or whatever. And so he, in his mathematical genius mind, figured out some weird math that I still don't understand today, but did a piercing for $60. Comes walking over to me, and I'm like, expecting my cut out of that $60, which should have been like, I don't know, 25 or something.
Right. Like 50% or something. Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
And he drops me a handful of change. I think it was like 39 cents or something like that. And I was just like, what's that? He says, that's your cut. So, how do you figure? He says, well, if you, wanted, like you spent so much on the order, said we were going to make this much, and if I break it all down, if I do it just right, then I only owe you 39 cents per piercing that I do. And I'm like, how's that if you paid this much? Oh, I bought the 2-cent jewelry. And I was like, oh, you did exactly what I told you not to do. You bought all the shitty, cheapest of everything, like instead of spending quality stuff and like raising the quality of the shop and everything.
Right.
Bought all the shitty stuff just to get by on and make more money. And you think that you can give me 39 cents per piercing and we're going to be good. That's fair. And I was like, which maybe in your math, that's right. You know, do 5,000 piercings. Maybe, yeah, that term works out.
Yeah.
Did you not factor into your mathematics the fact that I own all of your shit and I can take it at any fucking moment and just send it back to the store and get my fucking like 600, 700 I spent or whatever it was.
Right,
like,
right.
Oh, that did not factor into your mind, did it, Benny? So I had Joey, the apprentice at the time,
Right.
pack all of the shit up. And I was like, now the harder part of this is not for me, it's for you, Benny. You have to go across the parking lot and explain to your woman, the soon-to-be mother of your child, why you just fucked your guys' self out of rent and food.
Right.
Because you were being a greedy asshole.
Wow.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
And because I love them.
Right.
And I still love Benny to this day.
Oh,
even.
same. Yeah,
And Jessica, like, they're
Yeah.
beautiful people to me. So
Yeah.
that was really hard for me. That was a really hard day for me to be.
To try have to be the
boss man like
asshole.
that,
yeah.
And then, like, you know, then there was when you came back.
Yeah.
And you were just like, you know,
Hungover and fucking
you toured and broke.
all tour
and,
broke.
like,
Yeah.
And so, you know, here's people tattooing and then coming over and they're giving me a cut. And I remember you standing up and going, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, my cut for the shit. And you were like, oh, hell no. This is my fucking shop. Why are you getting fucking paid? And
Right.
so we had to have this conversation of like, well, you split.
Right.
And you left
We
me with
ran
fucking
out of
nothing,
shit.
you know? And like, I had to order all this shit, dude. And
I
you were
probably
like,
spent all my money on prepping for tour.
yeah.
And I didn't even think about how the shop was going to stay running when I was gone.
Yeah. And again,
Yeah.
new guy shit, you know,
Yeah.
like how to,
I'm fucking new business. Like a lot of tattoo artists, when they own shops, it's their first time owning a business.
yeah.
And I didn't even have like the experience of working in any other shop.
Yeah, or doing anything. So like, you know, it happens, and so like that sucked, you know, having to go through that and like
Can't imagine.
Yeah, and so just like and then like to be made out to be
Now
made to
you're
feel
the
like
asshole.
to be made to feel like
stealing
the bad
from me.
guy, and
Yeah.
like, you know, like, and then the other guys in the shop, you know, like as much as I love them, they were, you know, they're like jackals, you know, like they'll fucking. You got me, I'm your friend. You don't?
Yeah.
That guy does. I'm no longer your friend. I'm his friend. And
Right.
like, we will fucking tear meat from your bones now.
Right.
Yeah. There's, you know, as much as like Greg, love him now, wonderful man, always have loved him, but he
Yeah.
was a tough one to deal with. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
do you remember when he trashed the shop?
No, was I drunk?
There was a lot of drinking going on,
Yeah.
that's for sure. So
I mean, I don't drink anymore.
yeah. Yeah, so I come in, you know, early one Saturday morning at like, you know, early at the shop. I was, you know, 11 or so. So I was there about like 10. I come into the shop to, you know, get ready for a tattoo. The door's already open. And I'm like, which isn't totally uncommon because, you know, like Ewok and everybody drinks next door and then they come in like would hang out, you know, I'm chilling, sometimes fall asleep, you know, there. So I thought maybe somebody's there hungover, you know, passed out. So I come in. And
Riding the
then-
needle. Huh?
And I walk in and then I see like there's holes in the wall.
Mm.
My booth is just like my locker is just knocked over on its face. Everything spilled out of it. Booth is just completely trashed. And I'm thinking, oh no, somebody fucking broke in and ransacked us.
Right.
Fuck.
Right.
And Ewok's right behind me, fucking coming out of the bar. You know, he was coming out of the bar. I'm coming from work, you know, from home, and he comes in. I'm like, motherfucker, look, and he's just like, oh shit, there's holes in the fucking wall.
Right.
Everything's just trash. And I'm
Right.
like, oh fuck, dude, I can't believe we got robbed. And I'm like, wait, none of our tattoo machines are
Yeah.
missing.
All our
Like,
shit's still here.
everything's still here.
Yeah.
So we're like, somebody just break in and just trash our fucking shop. Like, who did we piss off? Like, because, you know who we were back then. There's a lot of people we could have pissed off. So it's like, it's a big fucking list, you know? It's like, fuck.
We were pretty wild, bro.
Yeah, you know, like we said a lot of shit. We did a lot of shit. You know, we're a crazy bunch. And
Yeah.
like, tattooed a lot of fucking people, you
Yeah.
know? Like, so from every walk of fucking life.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
From shittiest people to like high end. We
Yeah.
tattooed them all.
Yeah.
Could have been anybody.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck? You know, who did this shit? Rah! You know, I'm fucking just about to get on the phone with you because I'm still, you know, like, fuck, we still gotta call James.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. He's got to
you
deal
call
with
him. I'm
it.
not gonna call you. I don't really want to fucking do this.
Yeah.
You know, who wants to be the person to call the owner and be like, hey,
Yeah.
I got fucking ransacked.
Yeah.
And as we're, you know, figuring this out, we hear some noise and we're like, what the fuck? They're in here. Ah, You know, and it's your booth underneath where your table was. You know, you got the little pony wall, and your table's right there, and Greg's underneath there. And we're like, oh shit, he's all beat up, and we're thinking, oh fuck. Greg tried to defend the shop and got his ass whipped. He's a fucking hero, you know? And like, we're like, Greg, you all right, dude? You know, did you see who it was? And he's just like, oh, you know, he's fucking trash still, just can barely talk. And as he's, you know, trying to explain this and that, which you can't understand any of it, I look at his hand and realize,
they're all bloody knuckles and shit with sheetrock
on your hand. It was him. He had gotten into a fucking drunken rage and just trashed everybody's booth except for his own. Didn't touch his own booth. He left his booth alone. Fucking Greg.
Yeah.
And Benny's booth. He didn't really touch Benny's booth. Like, probably a lot of sharp stuff in there.
Yeah, probably smart.
Yeah, probably don't want to do that. A lot of needles in there.
Yeah.
But trashed everybody's shit, fucked it all up, and you know, I had an appointment that day. A big appointment that day. And I had to clean everything up. Everything's fucked up. There's ink spilled on the floor. You gotta mop all this stuff. Shop looks like shit. We called you, and your response was, "Who did it?" I said, "Greg did this shit, dude. And fucking fire his ass." Well, you know, Dre, Greg's going through a lot of stuff right now. So maybe we shouldn't be so harsh. You know, maybe we should take a moment to just kind of, you know, see if he's okay. And like, I remember hearing that from you, and like, wanted to choke you through the phone so bad. I wanted to choke you so bad.
Yeah, I get it.
And I was just like, wait. But at the same time, just this disbelief of like, are you serious right now? Like,
how did that not piss me off?
Yeah, and well, you know, as Ewok and a few other people said, like, you know, they were like, your bond with Greg was like, really, really tight.
Kind of like a trauma bond,
like
I think.
Father, son, like brother, like on like so many levels. You get, and you could tell when you guys were together. Like you guys really were very tight together.
Yeah.
And like you were like safety blanket to one another, you know. And like I respect
drinking
that,
buddies and
you were And so I respect that, and I got it to that degree. But at the same time, I was like, dude, this is your shop.
Right.
This is our shop. Like everybody works. This is all of our stuff. Like your stuff too. And you were just like, well, you know.
Like, give him a break.
Greg kind of has problems, you know. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna beat the shit out of him. And you were like, if you touch him, Dre, like you're fired. Yeah. You don't say a word to him. Just clean up and do your work and let it be. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right
crazy.
now? And like, Bob's like,
yeah,
that's the way it is, Dre. Yeah. Like, you know, he loves Greg, and I'm like, why though? You know, I'm looking at him like, what about you? What the fuck makes you so fucking special, you big-eared motherfucker? And like, you know, and his art skill was phenomenal. Like, Greg back then was, you know, like so in a lot of respects, like so far beyond where any of us were, and like his skill, like he could do some amazing work when he wanted to. Yeah, Greg put his mind to it. He was untouchable. Yeah. It's just unfortunate he couldn't do that at the moment.
Now he's a mathematician going to school, fucking not drinking.
He's so happy to hear that about him.
180 completely. It's so awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the wonderful part about these stories too, is like how shitty we were.
Yeah.
Could be.
You would think I was in my like late teens, early 20s. Nope. Early to mid 30s.
Yeah, I was 30 years old doing this. And get me wrong,
I'm developmentally delayed a little bit.
I'm no saint myself. Yeah. I've fucked up many a times too. Yeah. So like, those were some of the harder days, I think, of like working with you. And but you know, they were very outnumbered by the better days. Yeah. We fucking laughing our asses off, having a good time. Yeah. So I'm okay with it.
And you know, looking back on that now, and it's hindsight's a great teacher, right? Like it you know,
2020.
Right? It really is, man. I fucking I wish I had like the business sense to like have like savings. Yeah. So I grew up super poor, and I had no idea how to handle money at all.
No,
like, zero idea. Yeah,
like my family, you know, we didn't save money. You didn't have enough. You live for what you have right now. If you had some extra, live, because tomorrow you might be totally broke again.
Right.
Most likely you were going to be.
Exactly.
So live it up like you're a pimp, you know, millionaire style today. You know,
when you get food, make sure you eat all yours before other people get yours. You know, like crazy.
Yeah. So you know, eat like a fat kid. You know, arm around the fence.
Yeah.
You had to eat like that at home, because if you didn't, your uncle come over the top, pull your piece of chicken out, you gonna eat that? You're like, you're not fast enough, that's gone.
Well, from that story comes the birth of Lullaby Lounge, right? Like that, and you were like, hey man, I gotta go. This is too much for me.
Well, at the time, I was also when I was working for you there, I don't know if you remember or not, but I was also working at Accent Tattoo in Ukiah.
Oh, right.
I was doing I think it was 1 or 2 weekends a month there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was working at that street shop over there, which that was a whole nother level for me. I'd never worked in a street shop like that before. Like the shop I got hired at was a street shop.
Yeah.
You know, walk in, you see a flash on the wall. We had the same piece in 3 different sizes, you know, and flat rate everything. And so, you know, back then it was like, yeah, you're charging 200 for that, but the faster you get done, the more money you actually make. And, you know, in 2 hours, 4 hours, doesn't matter. You're still making the same amount of money. And then, you know, worked at Ink Addiction, and we did hourly rate there. So I think that's when I was making money. I was like, this is great. Like,
Yeah.
it's not flat rate.
Right.
Go over to this, you know, working at Accent, and even at like the first shop and instant gratification and at Ink Addiction, I set my own schedules. You know,
yeah.
for the most part, you know, you just set your own. Well, get over to Accent Tattoo. They were super high professional street shop, like high level, super functioning fucking street shop. They had a counter girl who was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so she scheduled everybody.
Right.
And then they had the 3 piercers, and they had like 5 artists. They had the guest booth. And when you got in there in the morning, they hand you a sheet with your schedule of who you're tattooing
Right.
and all the stuff you're doing. And I'm like, what is this? And they're like, this is your day.
This is
And I'm
your
like,
day.
I was
Yeah.
like, there's 6 people on here, and me, I'm a spoiled ass motherfucker. I do 1 or 2 tattoos a day,
Right.
maybe 3. You know,
Right.
and the little ones, you know, you bang them out. But these, you know, I've never seen these people. I've never talked to them. I don't know how big they want these, and no fucking clue. It's all written down here, and it's 2-hour blocks. And I'm like, these are 2-hour blocks. How do you know it's going to take that long? And like, looks and issues, because that's when your next appointment is.
Yeah. You're going to make it take that long.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, you know. So like, yeah, I had to fucking grind, and like that was one of the places that like put me on. Like,
That's a fucking good training ground right
yeah,
there.
it
Yeah.
was, and
Yeah.
you know,
'Cause
like,
I was trained like a street shop just like that, but it wasn't, Ink Addiction wasn't that way because we're not on the street. We're like off in a parking lot and shit, dude. And yeah.
yeah, shout out to Gwen Glotness, owner of Accent Tattoo back in the day.
Yeah.
She sold it recently a while ago to Joe. Joe Butt is his actual name. But no, he's a great guy. Shout out to Joe Butt.
Shout out to Joe Butt.
But Gwen Glotness,
Gwen.
yeah, she is one of the female legends of tattooing.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you read about her in history books and stuff. She is one of my best friends ever. She's an amazing woman, beautiful, talented, smart, and one of the greatest fucking tattoo artists. She's so badass. But she owned that shop, and that woman runs one of the tightest ships I have ever been on.
Rad.
Yeah, she don't fuck around. Like, that woman is business and art perfectly balanced. You wouldn't know it when you look, you know, like, you see her and that's what you see. Is like,
It's
this
not
perfect.
easy to
And
do.
she does it though, and she's got her husband Adam, who is like one of the fucking coolest men I've ever met in my life. Adam Glotness. He is like, without, like, those two are like one of those power couples.
Yeah.
That make shit happen. But yeah, she runs one of the tightest tattoo shops, or did when she was running it. And that's like who got me, like, you know, in tattoo shape.
Fucking A,
She
dude.
was like, you're lazy. You're gonna be fast.
Yeah.
You're gonna be accurate, and you're gonna be good at it. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah. And they had a computer to do stuff, but she was just like, just draw it like you always do.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what you do, then do it. So
Yeah,
that's-
do it your way.
Yeah,
Why
and,
change? Why, it's not broke, don't fix it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and working with them, I got to, like, through her, I got to meet and know all of the greatest artists. I mean, like, through her, I met Lyle Tuttle.
Wow,
And
wow.
got to be like good friends with Lyle Tuttle. There was like Henry Goldfield,
Right.
there was Philadelphia Eddie. Like, she knew all of the legends of tattooing. Like,
Well, she was one herself. That's why.
But she'd never say that, you know. But that's, yeah, she was a legend.
Right.
She was amazing that way, and like, yeah, I got to hang out and meet these people through her, and like do conventions with her. We did Tattoos and Blues for like 12 years.
Wow,
her and I.
neat.
And yeah, so working with her, you know, for so long, and then, you know, doing the working with you guys too. After a little while, I was like, all right, I think I'm ready. I'll go off and do my own thing, and that's when I opened up. Or actually, let's see, I moved to Skinsignia for a little while after that. Actually, is what
Well,
happened.
yeah, you had some time
Yeah, I
there.
did
Yeah.
like 2 years with Skinsignia,
Yeah.
1.5, 2 years over there with those guys for a little bit, after I left Ink Addiction.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's when I got to work with Henry and Aaron and Sean and Mike.
Yeah.
And so while I was there, the Skinsignia decided they were going to go their own ways. Everybody had other plans already, and this had been in the works for a little while. It just kind of came to fruition, unfortunately, like while I was there. And
Right.
It's really sad to see such a really classic group of people go their own way. So yeah, I was there, and so Mike and I decided to open up a shop together, you know, because we were going to originally buy Sean out for the Skinsignia building. He wanted a lot for it. He could have got even more for it from the city at the time, and he offered us a deal for it. I thought was fair. It was damn near impossible at the time, but it would have made it happen. You know how we do. We just fucking grind until it makes it happen. Mike, on the other hand, shout out to Mike.
Yeah.
You spoiled little shit. He felt very differently about it. He felt like he didn't need to pay anything. He thought that it was owed to him.
Oh.
And so he basically threw the offer back in his dad's face, told him, fuck you. You owe me this. This is, you know, I'm your son. I'm fucking, you know.
Right.
This is, you know, you should just be handing me this stuff. And Sean is a hardworking son of a bitch who
Right.
built everything on his own. So him being the tough son of a bitch that he is and respectable man that he is, said, eat a dick. You get
Yeah.
nothing then.
Yeah.
Which I would have done if I was him too.
Right.
You know, I don't care how much blood you are. If you need to earn your own shit, you know,
Right.
like Sean earned his. He around him, like he built a reputation that is still today like one of the greatest out there. But Mike wanted it and thought he was owed it, so told us to fuck off. So we lost the building, had to find our own. We decided we were going to go out and look for a place, and there was many signs that told me this was a bad idea. But
Yeah.
you know, necessity makes for strange. But
It really does, man.